You're listening to That Great Mank Pod, Greater Manchester's community podcast. Top one, our kid.
Hi and welcome to the fourth of our Carling sessions supported by the Carling Made Local Fund. We'll be showcasing some of the amazing creative talent across our Greater Manchester that would normally be entertaining you in your local, helping them build their audience back and hopefully persuading you to grab a ticket for when they're back performing live. In this episode, Damian and I had a great chat with Dave Smith, who's rekindled his love for poetry after a short break of just 30 odd years, which is great for us and you. Dave has been a regular on the poetry open mic circuit around Stockport, and although we'd never get him to admit it, is creating some amazing work that will make you think, feel and stick more than just the odd smile on your face. Oh, and as the Carling sessions are supported by the Carling Made Local Fund, just a reminder to always drink sensibly. Hello, hello, hello.
Can you hear me?
Can hear you, can't see you.
Ah, okay.
Need to see your face. There is there, man.
Hey,
Is that your home office?
it is.
Very fancy that, mate.
Well, kitchen.
You've just destroyed that illusion.
My home office is the kitchen as well, mate. It's just that my house is in fucking bits at the moment. So.
I saw your pictures. We had the new kitchen done with last year's holiday money, and this year's holiday money is going on a new sofa and doing the lounge up. I'm just trying to get a bit closer with this bloody computer.
What are you going to do with next year's holiday money?
Go on holiday.
Oh, mate.
So, yeah.
Just been seeing that discussion this morning, but it's like it's some.
How do you see a discussion?
No, there isn't a yeah, okay, fair enough.
No, I'm just wondering, do you visualise it in your head as colours or abstract
I just watching telly.
Oh, right, okay.
And having people go, it's like it's a human right to go to Mauritius for 2 weeks.
I know.
But there you go. Won't be us anyway. It'll be real if we're lucky.
I won't even go there, mate. It'll be hammered.
No, I'd rather stay at home. I'd rather stay in my bedroom, mate.
It sounds like you're 14 again.
Been to the dentist in the last few days. I lay in the chair and the dentist says, "So, how's your teeth?" I said, "They're all right, mate. Not even a twinge, and you can put away that bleeding syringe because you're not drilling me, mate. No, not today." And he smiled that smile as if to say, "We'll see." And he picked up that sharp thing and started to poke. And I don't like to admit this, being a bloke, but I let out a scream. It was only a quiet one, but without doubt it was there. The dental nurse span round with a stare. The look on her face said, "Did you just scream?" And I kind of shrugged to say, "It's not what it seems," but it was. And he scraped with his scraper and squirted some air. The look on his face said, "Go on, scream if you dare." I just lay there, a mess. By now I was broken, I'm sorry to say, by that sadist that deals in dental decay. Regressed back to childhood. I whimpered inside. Should have run for the door. There was nowhere to hide. And then he said, "Polish?" I nodded a yes when I really meant no. The only thing on my mind was to get up and go, but, it was too late. He'd whipped out his machine and mixed up some paste, has to be said with incredible haste. "Wider," he said with a glint in his eye. By now I was nearly beginning to cry. I felt trapped. The sucker went in and latched onto my tongue. He started to polish. "This won't take long." I gripped the chair. "All done." "Another 6 months then," he said with a grin. The chances right now felt incredibly slim. Still, I made the appointment and left with a wave. The receptionist said, "You were ever so brave," and me, I thought so too.
Anyway, mate, I am recording, by the way, so...
Yeah. No, I'm fine, yeah.
Yeah, like I say, it's just for the... the audio is the most important thing. We might release a bit of video if we don't all end up arguing, just to promote it a little bit. In fact, if we do end up arguing, I might release that anyway, just to kind of, mix it up a bit.
Well, isn't that what you two do anyway?
But I know you were a massive goer of gigs You know, I mean, you were there, or you seem to be out and about all the time in terms of music, and had you just started doing quite a few open mics in terms of the spoken word?
Yeah, from a spoken word perspective, I started off at Bad Language in Manchester.
Right.
And I'd seen it online, and it was one of those where, I mean, I hadn't written, I'll go back a bit, I hadn't written poetry for over 30 years since school.
Wow.
Because the teachers at the time said, that's, you know, you don't want to do it that way, you want to do it this way. And essentially they were trying to get me to write their poems and not my poems. So I just stopped. I thought, what's the point? And I was just sat in the garden one summer afternoon on Twitter and just having a bit of a banter with Manxie.
Yeah.
And he'd just posted something, and I literally just put online from tweet art to street art. Right. And he said, I love that little thing. Can I use it? I said, of course you can. And he put it on some of his back of his posters. And I just said, yeah. He said, do you write? I said, no, I used to. He said, well, why don't you? And he talked me into it.
Right.
And I wrote a poem. And then he said, right, put it online. I said, well, no, because someone might read it. He said, that's the point. Yeah. So after a while of writing poems, he then said, well, come on, it's time you got up on stage and did it. I said, not a chance. But thought about it, and he's sort of, you know, no one really met Manxie, but he's like he's your conscious, what's the word you'd use? You know, he keeps pecking away to get you to do things creatively.
He or she.
Or she.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my theory, actually, Dave. I reckon Manxie's female.
Non-binary.
Oh, yeah, it's very complicated.
Or whatever nowadays. It is, yeah.
I'm not getting into all that, mate. I'm 50. I'd need a chart and somebody like a week's course to work me through it. You know what I mean?
But yeah, he taught me into to go into one of these evenings and performing, and that's what I did. And as I was speaking and reading the first poem, I could hear my voice shaking, and I could feel my knees knocking, but I got through it. And just you know, went from one to another, and I still get nervous doing it. Still not over keen on doing it, but it's one of those things where you want to do it again. Yeah. You know, going on the Big Dipper, you don't like it, but go on, give us another go.
Can you remember what the first piece was you did?
First piece ever that I did, I think. Yes, it was either one on dementia or the one I wrote about. You remember the little lad who died on the Turkish beach in Bodrum, fleeing.
I remember. Yeah, I remember reading that. Yeah.
Well, we'd gone to Bodrum the year before,
right?
And we'd been on that beach, and it brought it home.
Yeah.
And I don't. Do you know Forgotten Bee?
No.
On Twitter, she writes poetry, but she also runs the Wells Literary Festival.
Right.
And I chat to her quite a lot on Twitter. She's very encouraging. And I couldn't think of anything to write, and she said, "Go on." And she's so positive, bless her, speaking to me that, you know, find the downside to everything. She said, "I said, give me a topic to write about, B." She said, "Champagne, you know, really bubbling." So I wrote the most miserable poem about a really sad event of this young boy dying on the beach in Bodrum. The champagne sun sets against the turquoise sea. Wow. So it was probably, I think it was that one, because it wasn't too long.
What was the audience reaction to that? Can you remember?
Yeah. I mean, the one thing I've always said, and it's a bit like the X Factor where my mum says I can sing. Well, I've got news for you. You can't.
Yeah.
I don't care if the wife or some of my family say, I really like your poem. It's if you've read some poetry and someone you've never met comes up and says, I really like that. That means something to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And after that first night, there was probably about 4 or 5 people came up and said, I really, really understood that. I really got that. So
yeah, that's a massive buzz, that, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's what creative is all about. I mean, even you've just said you've took something bubbly, sparkling, and you've used that in a different way, but then you've touched somebody else or 4 other people, with your words, and that it's that butterfly effect, of
well, it is, but it's putting something down in a way that other people get it. They get it,
Yeah.
It's like I remember being at the Blackthorn Festival a few years ago when our kid was there.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Scott, not my brother.
Yeah, mate, I'd say that all the time. Yeah.
And he did a set. And when they said, local poet, our kid's going to do a few poems now, you could see the reaction in the crowd was, oh, my God, what's this?
Yeah.
But you've heard his stuff. He's great.
Yeah.
And afterwards, there was dozens of young teenage lads coming up saying, I really got that, mate. I really understood it. That was how I would think of things. And that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Well, it's rapping, but at a slower pace.
It is well, yeah. I never thought
think
of
that's
it
why,
as that,
Dave performs it. I mean, I think that makes it makes a big difference, I think, when you can see someone actually performing it as well, rather than just reading it. But that's a progression. I mean, we've seen you from pretty much when you were first starting, and you've done a couple of things that I was involved in, and I've seen obviously I've not seen you perform for a while, and not seen anyone perform for a while. But the last time I saw you, I could definitely see.
Yeah, at the Manx Spirit fundraiser in Wilmslow, it was both me and Paul, and I remember saying to you as well, Dave. It's like, wow,
yeah.
You've added that performance element into it. Which
I've tried. See, you stand and you watch. You go to a spoken word or poetry night, and you can see the people who it's the first time.
Yeah.
And you can see the people who've been doing it for a long time. And there's a massive difference. And I've watched people and thought, God, I wish I could do that. I really wish I could perform it like that. And the only way to do that is to see, I've always read the words. You pick a piece of paper up and you read it. But what do you do when you read a piece of paper? You hide behind it.
Yeah.
You don't see the audience. You don't connect with the audience. And being shy and sort of reserved as I am, it's you can almost pretend the audience isn't there. You just hide behind your piece of paper.
Yeah.
But if you want to perform and you want the reaction that I was feeling or I was getting from other people who were performing poetry, I thought, well, I've got to start learning them off by heart.
Yeah.
And God, when you got a memory like mine, I thought it's impossible. But one of the poetry evenings I went to at Petersgate Tap in Stockport, the lady who run that, Margaret, she said, wise old words, if you can't remember your words, how do you expect someone else to?
Yeah.
And that's, that resonated. And I thought, yeah, I've got to do it. And best place for learning words is in the shower while you just sit there. There's no distractions, nothing.
Don't be too graphic with this, though. We've got amazing
yeah, where's this going?
But
I do.
But that's integrating your own poetry into yourself, because otherwise you were just. I know a lot of people, and we've spoke to a lot of different creatives in different mediums, and a lot of what they do initially is they write the poetry or they paint a picture and it's to get stuff out of their head.
Absolutely.
It's literally, they do it to clear that space, but then to take that back in, I think is a painful process to a lot of people, because you're accepting that angst and that trauma back. Do you know what I mean?
To some degree, I do get you, yeah. But yes, poetry is definitely, for me, very cathartic. You know, I have, over the years, been an overthinker. You know, I can think good things into bad things because I think every scenario, and overthinking is a nightmare. It really is.
Are you a City fan, Dave?
Definitely not.
Right, okay. I thought that could be.
No, we're very positive, Paul. We're still in the FA Cup.
Anyway, sorry. Don't bring football into it all the time, Dave. Sorry, Dave.
But yeah, it is. It gets it out of your head and onto a piece of paper, and it's dealt with.
Yeah.
So yeah, learning it and remembering it puts it back in there to a degree. But I think
you think that's what you were hiding from, really, rather than the audience? Was it, you know, these things that you'd created, you didn't want to then face them again in a way? Do you know what I mean?
No, definitely not. But it's quite a deep thought, that. But no, it was. I don't like. I'm very shy, very introverted. I don't like to be the one that people are looking at. If you put me in a room full of people, I'll sit in a corner.
Yeah,
you know, people I don't know, but give over you.
He does actually. He always sits.
Some people walk into a room and go, "I'm here, right? Who wants to talk?" And I'm not like that.
No.
That's the struggle I have, and still do to this day, to get up. You know, if I say I get a slot at one of the evenings, I'm a bag of nerves driving into town. I'm sat there twiddling my thumbs until I get called up. But once you're actually reading it, it's all right.
Yeah.
And you know, a bit like getting called to the headmaster's office or something. It's never as bad as you think it's going to be, or the dentist.
Them nerves are with everybody, mate. I mean, I've been a union official. I've worked in different places, and you know, a couple of times I've stood up on them stage, you know, to read a bit of poetry or something, and I'm still shaking. I might not seem it on the outside. Everyone goes, "You're dead arrogant, you did this, you did that," and I'm not. You know, it's
yeah. You have to put a persona on, don't you?
Well, somebody told me years ago when I was blogging, he said you should do once a week, do something that scares you, right? And that's something that's stuck with me forever. And I'm way past abseiling.
Yeah.
I'd come down that road rather fast, mate. You know,
I could fall off a building quite easily.
Yeah, I can fall off an edging. I can fall off an edging. I don't need a building. But what I mean is, it's that do something that scares you, and I think a lot of people don't do that enough. You know, and fear is a prison. You know, it contains you.
It is, but it's in your head. It's the thought, isn't it? The thought is always worse than the reality of something. But I like you're sort of touching on there. I made a conscious decision 1 year, and I can't remember what sparked it. But I spent all my life saying no to things. And I said, no, I'm going to start saying yes. Give it a try. If it doesn't work, so what? And like you were saying, Paul, you know, I'm not just seeing a lot of bands. You get to know the local bands when you go out and about, because it's that kind of environment, very friendly. But when you speak to the guys who are going up on stage, they're bags of nerves as well.
Yeah. And
that I found was sort of reassuring in some respects. Well, if they're nervous, then that's just normal. You know what I mean?
I mean, I get nervous. I mean, you're a mate, and you know, when we did the when Words Collide event in Manchester, and you came to that, and you know, just before you, because I knew you were quite nervous before you went up, and I get nervous. I get nervous for other people, but you were ace, and it was great afterwards to see that massive smile on your face, like you just diffused a bomb. with 1 second to go, and that must be a massive rush. And then it's just like it's like a Zen calm. I might have been completely wrong, but
you can go and get a beer then. You see?
Well, yeah, I'd had a few by then as well. Can you do something then, Dave? Which one do you want to do for us? I mean, if you want to do it, I'd like to hear that champagne one, because obviously we're talking about it, and you know, it'd be good to open with that.
Good bit of misery.
Well, I remember reading that, mate, when it was online. And I remember, Christ almighty, I mean, remember the event, and it's one of the most shocking things that I've seen in my 50 years, I think.
Well, it was that photo went around the world.
Yeah.
And to see the body of a child that was fleeing war, and the world just looks on, and because it's on the other side of the world kind of thing, it doesn't affect us. But it affected me because we'd been there on holiday and thought we were sat there watching that sunset. Okay. If you picture you sat on holiday like an Ibiza sunrise or sunset, and you've got that lovely glow of the sun going down. Right. As the champagne sun sets against the turquoise sea, the lifeless body of a babe lies softly on the sand. The sea cries cold, salty tears and gently laps his arm, whispering, "Awake, little child, awake." He'll not awake. He's gone from this world. His parents wished for his freedom, and now he's free. Free from this world, free from the war he fled, free from suffering, free from pain. The world hangs its head in shame, and politicians shift the blame. Another day comes, another day goes, another boat leaves another troubled shore, and the world shuts its eyes as another child dies, and the champagne sun sets against the turquoise sea.
Wow. Yeah.
And I was told that was a juxtapose, and I had no idea what that was. But
what is that? I mean, I know, obviously, but can you just remind me what that is?
What, a juxtapose?
Yeah,
I'm not entirely sure. I had to Google it, but I think it's somewhere along the lines of an opposite, saying one thing but meaning another.
Right. Like my wife.
Very topical.
Obviously, that's not going in. Can you? I mean, what I definitely wanted to talk about, and it's completely relevant to the times that we're in, is the piece that you did about the NHS, which I suppose doesn't have to be for the times, because they've been supporting us and helping us out for how many years now. Yeah. But you got who was that share back? Because that got a load of interaction, didn't it, when you put it out not so long ago?
There's a site on Twitter called is it NHS Millions? And
That's it, yeah.
It's run by people from the NHS who are trying to let the world know the realities of what they're going through. But I didn't write it because of the pandemic. I wrote this one a couple of years ago, but it's actually very relevant to today. It's I write poems about things that I feel about, or there's always something that sparks bit of, whether you're angry, whether you're happy, something. But I'd wanted to write one about the NHS for a while, because they do. When you or your kids or your parents need them, they're there, and it's, you don't think about the NHS until it becomes part of your life. And
absolutely,
probably I don't know how many years ago it was now. My daughter broke her neck, and she went from Stepping Hill up to Hope Hospital, and they operated and basically put her back together, and she was a millimetre, they said, away from being paralysed, in a wheelchair. So when that when you see what they do, it's
No, I mean, we're also really lucky within this region in Greater Manchester to have so many specialist hospitals. I mean, Hope Hospital is well known for its it's spinal and nerves and stuff. I'm not a medical professional, but they're one of the best in the country. Never mind the world. Do you know what I mean, Dave?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And like you say, they're on the doorstep. So it's.
She could have gone in goal. Bert Troutman did that, and carried on playing.
He's got to get it in there.
Was he in that film with Michael Caine? Pele. Was that Bert Troutman in that?
I was Sylvester Stallone, mate.
If it was, he would have been spying for the Germans. no wonder he let the goal in.
Mate, he was flying the plane.
Can you do that NHS piece for us, Dave?
Yeah, let's give it a go. So this was just trying to say thanks to the NHS, really. It's not the people who set the budgets, but the people who set the widgets on the machines that save the lives of the husbands and wives, of the fathers and mothers, of the sons and daughters, from the surgeons to the porters to the social workers. When it's hard and it hurts, that oncology nurse who holds your hand when it couldn't get worse. It's the people who care, who are always there, who brush the hair of the old and frail, who travel to work through the snow and hail. It's the doctor, the midwife, who bring new life to the husband and wife. It's the ambulance crew with the blues and two. And they just do what they need to do to pick us up from the floor, where the door is always open, with A&E, cardiology, maternity, the mortuary. But we know that from the start to the end, we can always depend on this service that everyone must defend. They don't always win. Sometimes people go in and never come out, but it's not without the fight from the team who are stretched to the seams. And sometimes, just sometimes, they lose. But they feel it like we do. Then we hear on the news there are differing views whether funding's in place, and then we have to choose the government that we believe is best to look after this national treasure chest. In every town, this national health is a service for all regardless of wealth. It's a Nyram Bevan's legacy, always there for all to see, to be free at the point of delivery. Always. It's the best. Forever. This is our NHS. Thank you.
Here, mate. 100%.
Yeah. Brilliant, that, mate. And how many times is that retweeted?
About 62,000. Well, it wasn't retweeted, but it was viewed online 62,000 times.
Wow.
So that was.
How did that make you feel?
Buzzing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But it's. I don't know. It's hard to describe. Yeah, it was great that it's been seen by that many people, but it's still, to me, is it's about the people of the NHS.
So it's not changed you. So when you turn up to your next spoken mic, it's going to be, well, I want M&M's, but I don't want any blue ones.
Yeah.
Or I want, all the water's got to be at room temperature or anything like that. You've not changed, have you, Dave?
I'll get my people to answer that one.
What was the last open mic that you did, or when was the last spoken mic?
I think it was the week before lockdown in Stockport. Right. Coalition Poetry. There's a couple around the Stockport area which are easier to get on. It's really difficult to get on in town at the moment. Well, it's impossible at the moment, but the last. Are you missing it? Yes, I do. Yeah. I mean, there's a couple that actually are running them on Zoom, but I haven't done that. I might do that now, because I thought I had to, download the app and da-di-da-di-da, and I couldn't on the computer I was using. So, but realizing now you can just click the link and you're there. So
cool. It's another outcome, Paul, for us there. We've everyone we've spoke to, they're like, well, you've given me reason to do it again, and you're the first.
Yeah.
We've been encouraging older people to use Zoom, Dave. So we'll count that one as well.
It includes us. The beauty of it is every time as we are working with older people and a lot of stuff what we're doing, we can always take part and include ourselves. I filled in.
You were the missing link, you see.
Well, it has been said. Well, I filled in the census yesterday, or we all filled in the census yesterday, and it was a really sobering moment. You sat there looking at the screen, and it's like you are 50 years old. When you look.
I wish I was.
How old are you, Dave?
Oh, too old. I'm not saying.
Come on, how old are you? We'll only find out, Dave.
Well, I'm 58.
Right, well, you don't look 58.
Yeah, go on. Wait
no, and you don't look older. You don't look 58, mate.
Mate, you got better fringe than I can achieve.
No, that's my lockdown haircut.
Oh yeah, we've all got one of those. Have you done any pieces about lockdown? Or have you kind of stayed away from that?
I've not. I've mentioned to you the other day when we were talking. I've struggled to write during lockdown.
Right.
Talking to the people who do a lot of writing, it sort of split people down the middle. Some people have not been able to write, and some people couldn't stop.
Yeah.
Certainly a couple of people I know who've been furloughed have had nothing else to do, so they have been writing like there's no tomorrow. But no, I've struggled. I've written. I'm trying to remember when I wrote this one. I wrote the one, when you had the album out for Acts of Hope.
Yeah.
I wrote one about Acts of Hope and Mank Spirit and such. So that must have been around early lockdown, I think.
Have you got that one to hand?
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned it. Did you bought the what did you think of the album, by the way?
I thought it was superb, and I recommended it to loads of people, and a couple of colleagues have bought it.
Not enough.
And you still got a box in the garage?
Yeah,
I've got a box full in my car boot, mate.
We I mean, CDs. It's like, even showing it to the kids, they're like, "What's that?"
Really? I still think of them as new technology, but I love it. I mean, I've got a CD player in the car, so that's one of my relaxations, music in the car. But no, it's a cracking album. It's all Manchester, bands or bands with connections to Manchester, and new and old, established, should we say? And I think the quality of the music on there is superb. I really do.
Yeah. No, it was brilliantly put together by Bennett Narcissus.
Yeah.
Well, there's some fantastic artists on there, and like you, Dave, I've got a CD player in the car, and it was only once I'd actually got a copy, and because we didn't get free ones, by the way, initially.
No, we didn't.
We didn't get any, and then when I actually got a copy and put it in the car, that made it a whole new, like you say, driving around at night, listening to the music. But the thing is, we've got that many every time. I just open a new one every time I play it again now, Dave.
Obviously, Blank Made is still available. Search Blank Made Acts of Hope online. Only £6.
The album and what it was all about, and what you guys are all about. I mean, you got to remember, I had a chat with Damian at 53.2 when you did that poetry evening, and he was talking about literally Mank Spirit was barely off the ground at that point, and he said what you were trying to do, what you wanted to do, and lo and behold, you've done it. which is what I always say about you guys is, you like Ron Seal, you do what it says on the tin. If you say you're going to do it, you do it. There's no messing.
We do try, mate, but like I say, a certain amount of that is, we're at that age where time is not on our side, or patience.
Yeah.
And it's
so you've seen enough of the world to know that, I'm a thinker, not a doer. I'll think about it, but you don't. You do it.
Yeah, but we also need people like you, Dave, who've been a massive support to us online and, in person back in the days when we could do that kind of thing. We've gone a lot further than what we thought we would. But, I mean, we've got so much to do, mate. And it's when you think of the bigger picture, that's when it becomes a bit overwhelming, which is why, we only try and control what we can control now and don't look at the bigger picture because there's no point. Certainly not in this.
Yeah, just think about what's in front of you, what you got to deal with first. But I admire the way you guys do that.
Well, it's like Paul just said, though, mate. You've been there right from the start and supported us all the way through. And it is those replies, the conversations. I mean, you use social media properly. I wish other people would. You actually have a conversation and.
Yeah.
And
your social
a bit of banter, and yeah, I know. Earlier on, you've been a bit self-depreciating, saying you were miserable and you'll drag the goodness out of everything. Mate, you're not the same on social. You're very supportive of everybody, and that goes a long way. And we notice. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
I wish more people did that, mate.
Why would you not encourage creativity?
Spot on.
You might not like that creativity that someone's just done, but that's their heart and soul.
Yeah.
And they put it out there for people, and someone will like it. It's not for me to say, you go to an art gallery and look at a painting, you're not going to like them all, but you appreciate what's gone into putting it together. And that's the same whether it's music, poetry, books, whatever. It's photographs. It's all creativity.
The worst ones, Dave, are the creatives themselves, right? Because we see it all the time. Unless you mention them and you're bigging them up, they can't even be bothered pressing retweet. You might get a like at the end of the day, or never mind a conversation, or actually, encouraging you and supporting you. I mean, it's great to hear that you've had a lot of support off Manxie and that other lady you mentioned. I mean, is there anybody else out there that's been particularly gone out of the way to support you being creative?
Absolutely. Dave Scott, our kid, JB Barrington, say Forgotten Bee, Mr. Peeps at the beginning was really encouraging to get up on stage. All of these people are, they all work and spend time in the creative side of Manchester and other areas, so they know what it's about. They know what it takes to get up on stage or what have you. But yeah, there are some but there's some people who don't even respond to. I've given up tweeting some people because I've never once had a response. So even though I like what they do, I've given up pushing it because I'm not going to slag it off. But as you said, why would you keep pushing stuff to people who couldn't even be bothered to say a thanks or ask advice, and they don't give, not interested in it? And then that's their prerogative. I don't deserve an answer, but on the same token, I'll promote anyone's creativity. I will. But
I mean, that's the biggest issue with what I do is man-made, and and it's quite a hurdle to get over when you think, well, it's ultimately it's my decision that I want to go out and I want to promote and support the creative talent that's out there. So you're right, you can't expect anybody to get involved just because you're making an effort. But saying that, it doesn't work, and it'll never work if people don't get involved.
Absolutely.
Purely mercenary point of view, because what's been proven time and time again is if you get involved with somebody and you express an interest and you support them, more often than not, they will support you.
Mm.
Not all the time. Not all the time. You can't expect that. But it's the ones who don't, and you think, you're missing a trick.
Yeah, I mean, much as I love the bands of the local bands in Manchester and whatever, the buggers for follow and unfollow. You know what I mean?
They're not running they're not running their accounts, mate.
I know.
Spot it,
but that doesn't stop me again supporting. I'll always support the local music. That was something that I got fed up with mainstream music. I wanted to find something new.
Yeah,
and I missed out on all the Manchester scene because I was bringing the kids up, and I went for years without going into town centre. Really did.
You didn't miss much, mate. It's very, very overhyped. You'd think all that existed in Manchester was the Hacienda, and that's it. But it's nonsense because Manchester creative scene has always been much bigger. It's always been underground and supported by people like you've mentioned, Mr. Peeps, and yourself. And there's always been that undercurrent of people who really support each other. Do you know what I mean? That family feeling.
Yeah.
And that's what Manx Spirit was all about. And that was the theme that I was trying to do, was try to encourage that family feeling and encourage that belonging. But all we ever do, me and Paul, with Manx Made, with Manx Spirit, is give other people a chance. It's not about me delivering courses or Paul, doing it. You look at the pod play that Paul's been doing, how many actors have been given an opportunity through that? How many writers have been given an opportunity through that? Manx Spirit, we use other creatives and we give them an opportunity to run sessions and earn money at a time when it's been the most difficult time for them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But what's the one thing that's got everybody through? Music, poetry, podcasts. It's the only constant. This last 12 months, it's been the only constant. Yet it's been the least sort of looked after by politicians in this country. But I won't go down that road. I get angry.
No, I mean, listen, it's a huge opportunity for change. Are they going to, are the government going to use it as an opportunity for change? No. Are the creatives of the theatres going to use it as an opportunity for change? Well, from what I'm seeing and what people are telling me, most of them probably not.
They'll go straight back to what they were doing before.
Yeah, they'll carry on doing what they're doing, but you are seeing that. I mean, Damo's always talking about this undercurrent of which Manchester's been well known for, and I'm seeing more and more of that. And certainly in the arts and creativity that, and it's not just the kids either. That kind of the people who really want to change things, and give genuine opportunities to people, and they're shaking things up and knocking a few doors down. And I'm always behind. Knocking the odd door down because no one listens to you otherwise. You can whinge all you want and it just becomes this big echo chamber, doesn't it?
Well, that's it. That's what Twitter's become to some degree. And that's why I try not to. Sometimes you do. You get, the clickbait gets the better of you.
Yeah.
But try and be encouraging rather than, one of the millions that jump on this, doing everything down. Why?
Twitter's been great for me. Twitter's been absolutely great for me. I've had the odd run-in. I can, done my fair share of whinging. But if you use it as a tool to go out there to promote and support and be positive, if you go out there and you start going on about your politics, it's sort of like walking in a pub that you've never been into before, sitting with people you've never met before and telling them what you think, you'd be like, oh, piss off. Nobody's interested. Why?
But you're never going to change somebody's belief by characters. I mean, it's pointless. There's an old thing of it's better to have an idea than a belief because you can change an idea. You can accept other people's ideas. Oh yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
but a belief is too, ingrained in politics.
Well, that's it. You're never going to change a Tory to support Labour or vice versa. You're never going to change it. It's like at the end of the day, it's just opinions.
Yeah.
Everything is opinions. Who's the best football team? Man United, Man City. Yeah, but it's my point. It's an opinion. It could be Barcelona. It could be Real Madrid. Whoever you support, you say is the best.
I mean, our general opinion is it isn't Liverpool. I think we can all agree on that. Dave, can you...
Go on, send me off down that angry avenue. We'll never get out again.
Can you do us another piece, Dave?
The Manx
I'll
Spirit
do
one.
the Manx Spirit one, yeah.
Please.
So it's just something I tried to tie in with. There's been loads and loads of poems on Manchester, and they probably all repeat each other in some way or other, and maybe some of this one does. But I tried to make it about how I saw what goes on in Manchester and the do-gooders like yourselves, and just put it into some words. So this is called Manx Spirit. Take a stroll through the streets of this vibrant city. She's got personality, wit, though not too pretty. And a northern grit she'll be only too happy to show. Because if you know, you know. That Manx believe it'll be all right in the end. We set the trend. We'll always defend the freedom of speech, the Pankhurst way. Because Manx spirit's in our DNA, like chips and gravy in a tray. It's just the way we are. It's nowhere near perfect, but it's where I live, and the people here have got so much to give. I'm not talking money, I'm talking hope. Hope offers a future to the downtrodden folk who are sat on the pavement with hope in their heart, where one act from a stranger can bring a new start, and the part that you play is what sets us apart. Manx spirit is just a state of mind. We take as we find. It means you're aligned to the needs of your fellow man, and you'll do what you can to lend a hand. So what is this spirit in which we believe? It's in the bricks and mortar, the air that we breathe, every son and daughter, every child we conceive. Where old buildings are lost, regeneration ensues, glass-fronted facades replace yesterday's muse. What's gone is gone. So bring on the new. It might even be better. Bring a party or two. But we welcome those wandering ghosts from the past, those Mancunian spirits ensuring the last generations surpassed. From John Ryland's library to the Beetham Tower, both shining examples of northern power, the past, the present, the here and now. But the lines kind of blur where Salford kicks in. Our own tale of two cities where Adidas is king. And if we ain't got some tunes on, then football's our thing. Now, we go our own way when it comes to our team. Our Mancunian spirit allows us to dream of the victory march, whether red or blue. The only colours that matter in this melting pot hue. And whether young or old, the thing to do is get on your feet any night of the week. Go catch a live band or hear people speak their spoken word or take in a play. Because Monday through Sunday, there's something going on in some way. You'll hear people say it's buzzing here. But until you've been, you've no idea, so I'll make it clear. Whether born here or drawn here, you'll come back here. Okay. There's Sheffield and Liverpool, but Manchester is super cool. At the end of this rainbow lies the fool's gold. And if truth be told, the only dull thing round here is the sky. And so we try to get along. Sometimes we cry, but not for long. Manx spirit keeps on shining through with a song and a dance. It's what we do. Oh, we like a beer or two. But it's here that acts of hope are made. You help someone out, you'll get repaid. And as for Manx spirit, well, that's all Manx made. Thank you.
Oh, mate, that's ace. That really is. I mean, obviously, we're going to have to sue you because you've used Manx spirit and Manx made without permission. Oh, mate, that's spot on. I love.
That's a real tribute. Thank you, Dave. Really appreciate that, mate.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. I mean, I love that northern grit.
The only dull thing is the sky.
Yeah. I think it's completely, when people say, oh, you've got northern grit. I mean, people can just say it and not mean it. But to me, that's like a that's like a proper thing that exists.
Oh, yeah.
And that's too, because we've always been shat on over the years, haven't we? But
There's a lot that claim it and don't have it, Paul.
Beautiful piece, Dave.
A lot that claim
mate?
it and don't have it.
Oh, absolutely.
We often talk about it's just being born in Greater Manchester doesn't give you that, that badge, that certificate. Sort of. A lot of the people that have come here have added more to Greater Manchester than the people that have been born here in certain respects. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you pick up on things that you hear people say as well, and I heard someone saying, you don't have to be born here. You can to be a Manc. It's if you move here and you take part in what goes on in Manchester.
Absolutely, mate. Take part, become part of it. Doesn't mean you have to get involved and make massive changes. Just
I saw something
it should be a positive.
Do you know Nathan from Low Flying Geese?
I've never met him. Know of him, because they've been trying to do this film, haven't they, for a long time on the what were they called?
Piccadilly Rats.
Singing in Manchester. Piccadilly Rats, yeah.
Well, I saw him giving a chat to camera, and he said, the one thing that Manchester lets you do is if you want to take part, it gives you a stage. And it's true. If you want to take part, Manchester lets you take part. It'll, there's a stage in some pub, bar, club, whatever. If you want to read, write, sing, act, whatever, Manchester will let you do it and give you an audience. Even if you do it in the streets like the Piccadilly Rats, there's an audience, and I think that's amazing.
That's what I mean. It sounds like we briefed you previously there, Dave, and we didn't in the slightest. But that's what these sessions are all about. This is why we wrote to Carling and applied for their Made Local fund, and they've supported us in doing these sessions because we said that stage, whether it's in a local, an open mic session, whether it was on the streets, wherever it was, people haven't got that opportunity to show everybody else what they can do at the moment. So the only way me and Paul could get something done about that was do this podcast with the full intention, and you'll get an invite when we can, that we take these sessions out into the pubs and into the venues once we're able to, so.
Yeah, and that's it, not only are you doing that, but in doing that, someone will hear it and think, I'll give that a go. And if they do, where does that end? It's I hadn't written a poem for 30 years, and I've written hundreds, and I've stood on stage and I've read them, and I've stood on stage and read at the Albert Hall in Manchester. These are things who would have thought. So I'm buzzing at what I've done and achieved, and I love to encourage other people because what someone can get out of it.
Yeah.
Was that the fundraiser that I arranged at the Albert Hall?
It was, yeah.
The homeless one. It's surprising how many people were there, and people have said since, they've had that opportunity they've always wanted to go on that stage, or they've wanted to perform in there, and it give them the chance to do it. And I think that's something that me and Paul will take forward, once we're able to, is getting people into those venues. They're not exclusive, they're ours. Do you know what I mean?
That's it.
So we want to make sure that is that way. That's the new normal, or our new normal that we keep talking about. We're not dealing with the government's not deciding what the new normal is in Manchester, mate. We are.
If you want me to do all three,
all right,
I'll do the last friendship first, and then I'll do the funny ones to finish with. I grew up here with you as my mate. I'd know it was you from the click of the gate. 1, 2, then the knock. Like a secret code. A quick look at the clock. I'm going out. Don't be late. But we were, more often than not, on those hot, balmy evenings when summer seemed to last forever. I'll never forget those halcyon days, like a film being shown on constant replay in a fading memory. We played for the same team, won the league, won the cup. It's a path we'd walk again when we grew up. There'd be no more cups. We ran out of luck. We finished school. We started work. There were times we'd laugh until it hurt. We'd dish the dirt, put the world to rights. Sometimes sit in silence, not a word. I was there when she broke up with you. The one you loved. We got drunk and talked it through. More than once. But that's what mates do. I went to your wedding. You went to mine. The speeches look back on happy times. The photos, a record, leather bound, of a friendship now in the lost and found. I looked round. It was gone. I heard that your mum had passed away. You didn't say. They thought I knew. Can't believe he didn't tell you. It's a question I've asked myself many times. But the signs were there. A friendship laid bare. I don't know what happened. We just lost touch. Doesn't take much to talk. I guess life took over. Work, kids, family. No time left for you and me. The clock ticked. The calendar flicked. And life moved on. Okay. Now, this is one I did at that last fundraiser in Wilmslow. It's called 50, Mate. It was about a special birthday. As another year goes ticking by, now you're at that age where you start to lie. Well, you're not one off, not add one on. I'm 49, not 51. The fact is that you're 50, mate, and I'm sorry if that number grates, but you're just the same as all the rest, so swap Lacoste for a warm string vest. Ibiza's just a distant dream, now it's Bognor Regis with scones and cream. Balaraki, not a chance. Wednesday's OAPT dance. Adidas trainers, now long gone. Nice suede loafers, they're the one. Where T-shirts used to float your boat, now it's hat and scarf and winter coat. You turn the telly up because your hearing's not quite what it was. Comfy slippers, recliner chairs, trimming ear and nostril hairs. No more gigs, it's just too loud and you can't sit down with all that crowd. From a night out on the gin and jam, to Horlicks and to Mazepam. Now life will change in many ways. Welcome to Saga Holidays. I could see Damo nodding to that one.
And I do think, and I agree with what you said before, and it's always everything I do, if one person listens to this and says, I've always, like writing, if it is writing, and, has a smile on the face when they listen to the stuff that you've done, I think, yeah, I'll have a bash at that. Even if they never put it online, if they never do an open mic, but they do something that makes them feel good, then we'll never know if that's the case, but I'm sure.
Well, you don't know, but it's great. I mean, just from starting to write little poems, I've now started writing a book. But you go to an evening and you talk to people who you say, well, why can't I do that? I could do that. People who do it for a living, it's not even a living, but, you can self-publish or get published by a publishing house.
Yeah.
So many different things you can do, but until you go, and there's always something around the corner from where you are. You don't have to go into town. There's always something local. But, it's the guys like you, again, I keep saying it, who encourage people. Nobody knows where it's going to lead to.
No. People do say all the time, well, I'm going to do. I mean, I see, everyone sees it. oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, and you say, well, go on then. Do it. Have a crack at it. What have you got to lose?
Yeah.
What have you got to lose? But
that's brilliant. And I love people like yourself who will encourage people to do it, you know.
It's only because we can't do it ourselves, Dave. We need to encourage everybody else.
we'll
have nothing to listen to or watch. No, it's what you were saying earlier, though. For me, it's not just like Paul said, people actually trying it. For me, it's just once this is all over and people are like, shit, I've been stuck in the house. And they listen to one of these and go, do you know what? I'm going to go to that spoken word night round the corner rather than just going to the pub or going to the thing for the sake of it. Do you know what I mean? Actually go there and be stimulated, inspired. What was it? The other day I was saying, to me, going to something like that gives me a moment of respite. You know, no matter what's going on in my life, no matter what struggles you've had, going to one of them open mic nights or going to, and just sitting there having a beer with a mate, you know, and just listening to this creativity. It gives me space. Do you know what I mean?
You don't have to write or take part. You can go and listen to someone else's, and that's inspiring in itself.
It gives you something proper to talk about sat there rather than football and politics. Do you know what I mean? You can talk about the issues that are raised. Me and Paul do it all the time when we go and watch plays or we go and see something creative. I just think it makes you a much more interesting person. You know, I don't want to go and sit. Done that when I was younger. You know, sitting in a pub talking shite, women and girls at football. You know what I mean? Whereas I'd much rather. Oh wow, the way that they brought that into this, or bloody hell, I feel like that when I went.
The one thing I've learned just recently is one: instead of saying no, say yes, give it a try. And the other is every year now, I set myself a new creative challenge for the year. That's one of my New Year's resolutions. So, what's
your challenge for this year?
It's a little bit hush at the minute, but if it comes off, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it just in case it doesn't come off. But
all right, be like that then.
We can't promote it if we don't know.
No, mate. Listen.
Well, all right. I want to get involved in some way in local radio.
Right.
So that's what I'm trying to do.
Thanks for your time, mate. It's been a real pleasure, and
it's good to see you as well, mate.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, same with you guys. You know, always good to catch up.
And we, when the world gets back to normal, I think I might have knocked the drink on the head. I've not had a drink this year. So I don't, but, we can always have a coffee. Or you and Damo can get pissed and I'll just sit there with a fart on my face. Going, you're not enjoying yourself,
Dave, we've got a taxi driver now, mate.
Yeah, taxi. Follow the taxi. All right. We're off. Listen, thanks a lot, Dave. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks a lot for asking me onto it anyway.
You're listening to That Great Mank Pod, Greater Manchester's community podcast. Top one, Arky.
Try anything once.
Yeah, never again.
Well, most things, Dave. Not now. Not with the knees and the ankles.
Yeah, and not while on video.
No, not at all, mate. In those days, what's the worst that could happen? Someone could take a picture, but you'd have to stand still for that anyway, wouldn't you? Otherwise, it'd just be blur.